Oh, I wonder if this is actually my midlife crisis. I don't know. Whatever. Probably the worst thing I've come to realize that I've experienced in my life. The worst thing I've ever experienced in my life is who I am. Or really having be forced to change who I am. And this is different from like how I normally believe in terms of like changing who you are or hiding who you are or whatever. This isn't like, because in terms of change or having to like hide who you are, like it's like for hiding who you are, I just feel like, okay, there's a time and a place for everything. Like there's a time and a place, an appropriate time and place for everything. Like you don't, like, there's certain things that you shouldn't do in certain places, and that stands to logic. Like you can't, and there's certain things that you shouldn't say in various spots. Like that's true. And then there comes like certain things that that maybe a person should probably change about themselves or what they do and whatnot. And really, I always attributed that to you should change if it's a problem. Like you should change if it's an actual problem. And I've come to realize that, wow, I've changed myself a lot just to satisfy people. Like, just to satisfy people that I either barely know or just for some small thing. And it hurts that I've either changed or hid things away, like change my personality or hid things away just so I could satisfy certain people. And I've done that for years. Like I've done that for way too many years. More than I can count. It hurts. Because I have to say, because it really is like, honestly, when I think about it, it really started when I took an interest again in religion and started studying with, God, this is gonna suck. Started studying with Jehovah's Witnesses. Like, yeah, I studied with them for like well over a decade of my life. And essentially one of the main lessons that was like drilled into my head in the time that I spent with them was, you're not going to attain life in the paradise. Like, you're not going to attain life in the paradise, or you're not going to heaven, whatever you want to believe, unless you change who you are. Like, that was one of the lessons that was drilled into me. And I took that one to heart. Like, at first I didn't exactly know how deep that entailed. Or maybe I did know, and I just never paid it enough attention that how badly this was going to affect me in the future, or in the coming years, because it changed everything. And honestly, it hurt. It was it's still painful now that I realize how much it's changed me, and how much I'm just in pain because I let those changes happen. like, and it's not like, and religion's not the whole, like, religion's not the whole thing to blame either. It's like there's so many influences that made, like, that forced me to change who I am, or really I should say it forced me to put on a, because I mean, it's like for me, I do YouTube videos, and like I do YouTube videos, and in order to even it's like in order to even like entertain viewers, however few or many I have to be somehow entertaining to everyone. I don't know, which I don't even know how. And I sat there and I looked at so many different YouTubers, and I'm just like, there's no way I could act like Mr. Big YouTuber 3000 here. I could never act like that and feel good about myself. Or I could never act like I could never act like super streamer guy, girl, I could never act like that person, because it felt crazy to me. Because I'm sitting there going, like, do I have to act wild and crazy? Do I have to put on a show just so I can more or less make a living? Like, separate. And like, it got worse because it got worse because on how I let this affect me, because there were things that I would say to certain people, and then everyone would jump on my case about it. Like, everyone would just jump on my case about it. Like, say, like, no, you're wrong. Like, no, you're wrong. That's not how you should be thinking. Like, and like, in certain cases, like, okay, fine. Like, this is just like this guy over here. But then, like, you start seeing, like, so many people jump on you, or people that, like, you feel somewhat close to, or people that you call friends, like, start saying it, and you go, okay, like, I guess it's a problem, and I guess I should change myself, or I should just, like, never bring it up. And I remember one huge example was like, I was in the car with a bunch of friends, and we were all talking about, like, what mobile games we play. Like, we were all talking about, like, what mobile games we play. And everyone just brought up, like, different mobile games. Like, oh, like, I do Sudoku, I do I play Candy Crush. I don't really do that. I just read the news. Like, I just read, like, whatever news. And then, like, I say, like, oh, well, I play Puzzle and Dragons. And then everyone in the car went silent and started poking fun at me because I play Puzzle and Dragons. I'm like, okay, like, what's wrong with Puzzle and Dragons? Little did I know that was going to end up as this huge, long intervention-like bit that says, like, okay, like, here's the reason why you shouldn't like dragons, and why you should stop associating yourself with dragons. Like, it was enough to make me go, okay, fine, I won't bring up dragons. Like, I'll just say, and that just, like, and I had to put on a mask. Like, I had to put on a mask, say, like, okay, yeah. So when a person asks me, like, oh, well, what games you like? I don't mention, like, I just never mention, like, anything that involves dragons or anything that involves magic. I just mention some innocent game, like, mention, like, an innocent game like Mario Kart. or even more so, like I just go like, oh, Wii Sports. And that's a small one. Another one is just like I see people like I see people. One is just like I see people like bring up subjects about various topics, and I'm like, oh, I should say something about this, and then I have to stop myself because I know that what I have to say puts me in the minority. And I just go like, okay, like, it's best to just avoid that conversation and not even like say anything about it. Like, just let it go. Like I hate doing that to myself. I didn't notice that I was doing that to myself, and like bringing myself into a trap where my mind, like, where I'm putting on a mask, and then essentially when I get home and I know I know that I'm like generally by myself, like I just break down and cry because I'm like, I can't be myself. Because as in they're like, dang, like nobody accepts the real me anymore. Like, no, it's like, no, I have to change. Like, no, I had to essentially remake myself over and over and over again to fit the needs, or really fit the wants of other people. And I hated that. Because it's so painful to do at the end of the day, because it's just like, oh yeah, I like this, like, just to try and sit there and like, for me, like, I still hate sports, but I had to sit there and take an interest in sports just so I could have a conversation with other people that like sports. It's like, I think the worst one was just starting, like, just having a random conversation with people. Like, just having a random conversation with people to the point, like, I just don't even want to talk to people. And they ask, like, hey, what do you do for a living? And I'm like, well, I'm a content creator for YouTube. And then they just go, oh. And they go, oh, you do YouTube videos. And it's not even just like the O part. It's the tone of it that I already recognize that they want nothing to do with this conversation. They want nothing. And after that point, those people never interact with me. And it's easy to just dismiss that kind of stuff as like, oh well, they weren't worth your time anyway. But when you have that happen to you over and over and over and over and over again, you just have, like, you can't, that's, like, I don't know for anybody else, but for me, it's just like, okay, when I'm out there with this group of people, this is the list of rules I have to follow, like, this is the mask I have to put on, like, I essentially have to be a mirror. It's like, okay, like, this is what they want. Okay, well, I'll give them that. Like, become what they need, or really become what that person wants. It's like, become what that person wants. Nobody gets hurt. I practically break down crying, and I'm just like, I don't know, and I'm sitting there like, I don't know why I'm like this. But then, like, heck, now at the age of 35, running on 36. I'm looking at it, and it's because the real me isn't wanted. Oh, like, the real me is not wanted. They want the fake, like, people want the fake me, or a fake me. And then it's not. It's just like it's incredibly pain. Like it is incredibly painful to sit there and go through that, like day in and day out. To know that this is like, heck, it's at the point now that I just like that I'm just I'm crippling over here. Where I'm like, okay, like he's like, you know what? I want to make new. It's like I want to make new videos, or I want to do this artwork that I thought of drawing this up. I want to play this game here that I thought of playing, and people were. Then I sit there and I have second thoughts like, oh, like this isn't what people want. Like I should just stick with what works. Barely taking a risk. The biggest risk I have taken in the past year or so is putting up videos of Tokyo After School Summoners, which I thought was going to totally bomb, and people were going to say like, "Oh my god, you're playing that garbage," and people were going to say like, "Oh my god, you're playing that garbage." That's it. I'm unsubscribing from you, and stuff like that. Like, or you know, like, because the world is fickle. And it makes it worse because I don't have time to like sit there and reflect. I don't have time to sit there and reflect, especially in terms of YouTube, because YouTube is like, hey, we need you to upload YouTube videos. Like, we need you to upload YouTube videos. And it's up to you to decide what YouTube videos to upload. But hey, if you can't upload stuff, then we're just gonna go find somebody who can. And our algorithm is going to kick you to the curb. Which it has. Like, it has big time. Well, that late point. Like, I'm still dealing with having to try and be the real me, and it should and I'm still like just now like reflecting on it. I know it came out during my time at the furry convention. I know it came out during my time at the furry convention and I took notice of it. I just didn't know what to do about it. Cause I was like, wow, like I do have problems and I don't know how to get out of it. I'm stuck. Like, I am stuck in this trap here. Like, what am I going to do? How do I get out of this? Like, I'm supposed to have, I'm kind of, I'm still trying to, I'm at the point where I can't even really remember how the real me was, or who the real me is. Versus like what people wanted, because that is another huge thing that I've noticed is just like the way things are. It's generally just fend for yourself. It is generally a fend for yourself world, and if you can't fend for yourself, well, too bad. But people will essentially help you out as long as they get something in return. Or really, you get help, but only to further their own ends. Like, it's not really helping someone because they're doing it out of the kindness of their heart. It's so that they know that they'll get something. Like, they know that something's coming as a result of it. And that's like, I don't believe everybody falls into that, but I know that there's a lot more people that do that than I realize. But yeah, like I've been changing myself to satisfy. I've been changing myself to satisfy others, and I hate it. I hate it because I don't know what else to do. Like I don't know what else to do to like fix the problem. It's not as like it's not a simple solution as to say, oh well, ignore this person because they don't respect you. Like it's not that simple of an answer. Not for me. Like if I could yell out to that person, well, too bad. And that would solve everything. I totally would. But it doesn't work that way. But it doesn't work that way for me anyway. For me. Now, if I really needed to change, if I really need to change, then I should. Like if I really need to change, then I should. Because like if it's like if it's like super problematic where oh like these people are getting hurt because you're doing this, yeah, okay, fine, change. But but I've been changing myself for something that doesn't work. Something that just like that ultimately I'm just stabbing myself in the foot, or heck, stabbing myself all over because of how painful it is. And they go like, oh well, that's what you have to do. You have to change, and it's going to be painful. But I feel that I'm being changed to be a programmable robot, and not in like a fun kind either. Not like a fun, not in a good way. I feel I'm just being changed to just fit whoever currently needs, like fit whoever's needs I need to fill. Like, oh, this person doesn't want to do this thing. Like, oh well, get me to do it.